Let's talk about the tax cut deal that came together late this week. 6 bills, 3 from the House, 3 from the Senate. Pretty good compromise, about $35 million in tax cut revenue if you add it all up. Is it the deal that you had hoped for?
Well, not in the specifics, but I think the combination of the bills that ended up passing are diverse in that they pretty much touch every Arkansan out there. There's tax relief for certainly low income. There's incentive for business. There's incentive for economic development over in the most economically distressed area of the state, over in East Arkansas. We've got, I think, a good bunch of bills that the people of the state of Arkansas will appreciate. And the good thing about it came about as a result of work on both ends of the Capitol here and across the aisles. It was Democrat, Republican, House, and Senate compromise and getting together. And, of course, the governor having his strong leadership in the midst of it. But I think we ended up with a good batch of tax cut bills.
Well, we saw a lot of what was going on. You saw some display from some House members voting on some general improvement fund money. You saw them on some budget bills throughout the session. What led to the breakthrough? I mean, kind of what was the tipping point in these negotiations to cut this tax cut compromise?
Well, obviously, each house has its own strong opinions about what's best for the people of the state of Arkansas, and the way the political process worked and the bills that went out and down to the Senate, and I think the governor had good communication with the Senate down there, and they kind of had some agreement on the bills that they thought were meritorious, and the House had some concerns about good bills that we had down there that didn't seem to be having any legs, and so we just had a lot of good talks together. And
that's so vague. You can't tell me any more about what these talks entailed. I mean,
well, just we were
broken, I guess.
We were advocating for some tax cuts that we felt very strongly about on the House, and after a lot of discussion on it, we had agreement with the Senate and the governor that we had a couple of good House tax bills down there, 3 of them that deserve some favorable action, and lo and behold, we got it done today. At least step one today. We're moving, and I have every faith that we'll get it done.
Let's shift gears to highways, no pun intended. Obviously, you are pushing a roads program here for interstate and 4-lane highways. Right now, the diesel fuel tax increase of 5 cents is down in the Senate right now.
Right.
Bring me up to speed on where negotiations are with that, and how optimistic or pessimistic you are that you can get that out of the Senate Public Transportation panel.
Well, I'm optimistic. I'd say I'm very optimistic because it's the right thing to do. Now, in politics somewhere, sometimes that's not the defining element as to what gets done. But from the beginning of the session, this has been a cause that I've tried to keep at the forefront in the House, and now have tried to move that momentum down to the Senate, simply because we have a funding deficiency in our highway funding stream right now that is going to have continuing negative impacts, certainly on the safety of our citizens of our state as they move about in our very mobile society, but also of paramount importance to the future of economic development in the state. Without good roads to deliver goods and services around the state, all of our other efforts for economic development are going to be substantially impaired. Certainly in the business world, it's pretty fundamental that industry coming into a state, look at the state's the road system that are there that they'll be utilizing, and the state's ability to fund their highways. So the diesel tax proposal that will be referred to the people, of course, the people of the state ultimately get to make that decision if this is the right thing to do, the right way to fund our highways. It is simply the only option that that we have right now left in this session to do something to take care of this very substantial problem. There certainly is a consensus. The Trucking Association is supportive of the tax, which they'll be the primary segment of the population that will be paying the tax. They realize that if that doesn't send a strong message when an entity or an association is indicating its support to tax itself because of the dire needs to make the repairs to our highways, I don't think anything can speak any louder than that. Of course, the fact that State Chamber, Association of Arkansas Counties, Municipal League, all support this proposal just gives you a pretty good grasp of the recognition of the problem and that this is the way that we have to fix it. So I'm going to assume that for whatever considerations are down there on that committee, that they're ultimately going to look at the fact that this is the right thing to do for the people of the state of Arkansas, and they're going to cast their vote accordingly.
You need 5 votes on that panel. Do you think you have 5 votes?
Sure. I just don't know which ones they are. No, I feel confident. It's going to be tough, but it's almost. I guess I put myself in the position of being on the other end and being on one of the members. Maybe I'm not completely satisfied with this, but number one, I'm not being asked to vote for a tax increase. I'm asking for a vote to send the question to the people of the state of Arkansas. And most people tend to agree that letting the people decide what's best for them is not a bad thing to do. And I also, if I was sitting down there, I'd be thinking, I know that we have a real problem. And repairing roads, I've used the analogy often. It's kind of like having a roof leak on your house. If you go up there and fix the leak when it first occurs, it's very inexpensive. But if you let it stay long enough, the decking rots out, let it stay long enough, it's coming through your ceiling, you got a real expensive problem. Road repairs are kind of the same way. The longer we defer that maintenance, the more it's going to cost. And so that old adage, pay now or pay a whole lot later, is very applicable to the situation we're in for a road. So if I'm on the other end, if I do what I did on this end, I'd say, hey, we got to step up and take care of this problem.
Well, one of the things that I think you were ambitious about at the very beginning of the session was changing the formula for which we pay for roads, and clearly there wasn't consensus there to do something dramatically different, and so we've gone after the same tax structure that has been used in the past, basically in your proposal. Do you think that the formula for changing the way we fund roads can change, or is it imperative still to you that it must change? And where does that political will come from if it's not here today?
Very good question, because yes, fundamentally we're going to have to find a different way that we get our highway funding. Right now, it's based on a gallonage tax. We know all the reasons that consumption's going. As prices go up, consumption go down. Vehicles are more efficient. People fuel efficient. People travel less. As the consumption goes down, our revenue goes down. But the cost of maintaining our highways is continuing to go up. Just the usage and certainly the heavy haulers and things that are continuing to impact our roadways, and so what I started out in the beginning of the session was that we should go from a gallonage tax to an excise tax, so that we're as cost. I get choked when I talk about it because of the reaction I got, but as costs increased, we should have the ability to increase the funds that are available. Obviously, there was, in spite of my best effort, that didn't sell. And of course, the primary thing that I got as a pushback was just not the right time. It's not the right time for this kind of new tax. Which of course I countered. There is never a right time for this kind of tax. I mean, it's tough now. It's going to be tough anytime. I am concerned that not having found a great deal of support, and there definitely I had some support out there. There's no doubt. I just never was convinced that I had enough to get it all the way through the process, and I didn't want to ask members to have that political liability of voting for a tax if I didn't think that we were going to ultimately be successful, and I didn't think that. But if the thing that really does concern me, with the situation that we're in, the knowledge that we have regarding the deficiency in our funding and leadership really working hard to get this out to the legislature, and we weren't able to do it, I don't know when we're going to get that will. And the bad thing about it is that the will ultimately develop because the highways will get so bad, ultimately, if we don't do anything different, whether that's 10 years or 15 years, but they'll get so bad that people demand that we make those tough decisions, find a different funding model. By then, the costs are exorbitant. The damage that's done to our economy in the future because of having poor roads is going to be long term. So it's a tough problem. It's one that I feel extremely
Do
strong
you
about.
fear or do you suspect that we could find ourselves almost in a situation like we had with public schools and the need to consolidate? We can't afford the number of roads that we have. We've got to somehow transfer or abandon some of those roads at some point in time down the road if we don't do anything about changing the way that we pay for highways.
You know, we're not going to abandon road. Well, I mean, as a general proposition, I mean, obviously there are roads in this great country that are abandoned, but that's certainly that is a rarity. We could have that option, and there are those amongst us that would propose that we have too many roads in our state highway system, and we should diminish that number of miles that we maintain the state highway system, which means what? They go back to the county, they go back to the cities, which are even in worse shape than the state is in their ability to have funds to maintain their roads. So, no, I don't think in a rural state like Arkansas that's an answer. I think the answer is that this is cost of doing business. It's a matter of public safety and the economy of the state, and I just think the state ultimately will have to find the will. People have to find the will to step up and recognize responsibility on this very important aspect of our ability to travel and do business in the state.
Last question for you. We've got an April 1st tentative deadline, maybe a little permanent deadline. It could always be changed. How confident are you that you meet the April 1st deadline? That's a week.
Well, as we sit here right now, very confident. You know, we ended up on a good week, no doubt about it. We had a consensus on our tax cut. People come together. You've seen the House, the budget bill starting to flow out of here. I think people feel compelled to try to be as efficient in concluding the work of the people as we can. I think I operate by deadlines. That's my motivation to get stuff done. And April 1st is very hard and fast right now because I think it's doable. I really do, and I've observed it for a while, and I've talked to people that are more experienced than I am, and the general consensus is, yeah, we can do it. And my communication with Senate leadership feels the same way. Of course, next Friday I may feel differently. I hope not. I hope everybody's smiling. We go home next Friday smiling that we'll be able to wrap it up. But I think we can. I think it would really send a good message to the people of the state of Arkansas if we can conclude some of the what I consider to be major pieces of legislation that affect everybody. That our criminal justice reform, our highways, our state water plan, some other economic development initiatives, or tax cuts, things that broadly affect everybody. If we can get that business taken care of here in the next week or 10 days and go home on time, I think the people of the state of Arkansas will be well served. They would feel like that their legislature came up here and did what they're supposed to do, take care of the business and go home.